Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to WESPAC.
Yes.
Yes, you're going to amplify. So we're really honored to have two distinguished representatives from the Mossawa Center. It's a center that's based in Haifa, in the state of Israel. Palestinians refer to it as 48. We have Jafar and Suha, who are part of the leadership of the organization. It's a center for equality. It's a center that works to protect the rights of the Palestinian citizens of Israel and also the rights of all the marginalized groups in the state of Israel as well. So we're so pleased to welcome them both. This is the first public in-person event at WESPAC since the start of the pandemic. And I can't not think of a more auspicious way than to reopen our offices with these distinguished guests. So without further ado, I will pass it to Suha.
So I need to use this?
Just so that maybe people can hear nicely.
Okay. Okay, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having us here. I know this is the first in-person event, and this is the first time I see you in person. So I'm so excited. As I said at the beginning, I feel like at home really, because we have been in Zoom meetings and emails and phone calls the whole past year. And I really appreciate the work, first of all, that you do here, and the work and the guidance that you give me in terms of events and how to approach, especially officials here, like Congress members that are related to our district. So I'm so excited to see you here. I'm so excited to be here. I know that we've met and you heard me, say and talk about about the Mossawa, about what we do, about the Palestinian community. So I'm not gonna talk a lot today. I'm gonna give the talk to Jafar. This is the first time that you all meet him, also in person and also in Zoom. But as Nada said, we are at the Mossawa Center. Mossawa means equality in Arabic. I'm just gonna do a brief introduction about our work. We work to promote the rights for the Palestinian citizens of the state of Israel, or the Palestinian of 48, or Palestinian Dakhil, or Ashab al-Bilad. So we are Palestinians. We are citizens of the state of Israel. Part of our work is to promote the rights of the culture, political, economic rights of our community. We do this in different tools. We use advocacy, lobbying in the Knesset. We work with Knesset member. In order to cancel or to not to how you call it?
Violate.
Not only to violate, but also all the discrimination laws that are passing at the Knesset. We're working so hard with Knesset member in order not to pass these laws, especially the citizenship law and about the nation state law. We work also to work about the economic development of our community. Sorry. We are the only organization that does state budget analysis in order to allocate funds and provide funds from the taxes that we pay to the states to our community. And we can talk about it more because by the end of this month, the state budget will be confirmed and approved by the Knesset. We also do international community, and this is our part here in the United States. We established Friends of Mossawa as a 501c3 organization in order to bring our voice here as a Palestinian community to the international community, but especially to the American community, because we feel and we know that our voice is not heard, and there are a lack of information about what's going on with the Palestinians, 20% of the population of the state of Israel. So this is something that we also will talk about it, and this is part of our cooperation between the Mossawa Center and the WESPAC and Jewish Voice for Peace and other progressive organizations. We do media advocacy, but also we do empowerment workshop and work with with our community, especially with youth and with women. We have a lot of programs that we do to empower our youth and also to empower our women to take more part in decision makers, and also to be part of, to be elected to municipality. We have a project that we are working on it to encourage women, to participate and to be elected for the municipality elections in 2023. So this is about our work briefly. What we would like to discuss today is about the Palestinian community as game changers. This is a part of our tour here. We started the tour in LA. We were invited to the ABC conference. We had a panel discussion about the Palestinian community as a game changers. We had a lot of feedback there. The most feedback that we got that it's good that you are doing this because we do not know a lot about you. We do not even know a lot of things that you are mentioning. We hear the news, but we do not have from you, the people that are on the ground, to bring the real story, what is going on there. So and this point also, there was an article yesterday was published on Mondowise about the panel that we had, but also about how we as a community, how actually Phil Weiss, he took the speech of Jafar word by word, put it on, yeah, it was a huge, and that we are challenging the two-state solution as a Jewish and a democratic state. So it's a long discussion, and we would like also to share that with you, and also with what you can help also in this sense with the Congress members and officials that you are working with. We are here gonna have meetings with also progressive organizations. We gonna be in DC next week to meet with Congress members, and also if you have any contacts that you can help me. I know that Munder and Bauman, yeah, we met with them, but we also would like to continue and follow up with the staffers because there's a lot to discuss with them. And also we will have a fundraising in DC in order to support our work. So there's a lot to do. And I know you were very active, especially with me personally, with the events that was in May, last May. And you helped me to distribute a lot of information and videos and the documentaries that we sent you in order to affect and to tell the story to, especially to Congress members and the officials here. So I would like to thank you for that, because I know that you were very worried what's going on there, and this is something that really, you know, and this is why I said I feel home here. With this being said, okay, so now it's your turn. To talk about a lot of issues, and we would like also to open this as an open conversation, because I know that you have a lot of questions to ask us, and please, yeah, do that.
Thank you. I would like to thank you, Suha, for this introduction, and to thank you for hosting us in this meeting. For us, it's an opportunity to communicate with you directly. I know that Suha did a lot in the last few years, actually. And as a result of this, hard work that she do here and also back home, we have a better echo and impact. And if you go to Mondowise and see the article, I think it's an opportunity for many people, especially in the progressive forces, to start to think about how it's possible to get the game, to change the game, and to get the game to a new stage. And I think it's something that we would love at least to contribute to this whole change, because actually we are, since '93, we are a little bit in the same place. And the Palestinian community in Israel before '93 contributed a lot to change the discourse in Israel, at least inside Israel. Actually, the leadership of the Palestinian community inside Israel after '48 started with the idea of two-state solution. Actually, the whole idea of two-state solution have been mainstreamed. It was a demand of the Palestinian community inside Israel that we thought, at least our political leadership historically thought, Fi Zayad and Ibn Habibi and Samih al-Qasim and all political leaders that started to reorganize the Palestinian community after the Nakba. They thought in certain point that the best solution would be self-determination, implementation of self-determination right in two states and open borders. So this was the slogan for many years, and actually it was one of the successes of the Palestinian community in Israel to try to mainstream the whole right of self-determination of the Palestinians. You remember the days actually that there was no Palestinians and there is who's Palestinian, and the whole discussion about even the fact that there is Palestinians at all. So in this sense, until, I remember myself as the head of the Arab Students Unions in the universities and being arrested a few times when we said recognize the PLO. It was forbidden. It was a terror organization, and it was forbidden. And they used to arrest us. And every year, we have to face also this pressure, political pressure on us as students. Later on, even as a journalist, I suffered from harassment. But we had the '93 as an opportunity. That suddenly there is a window of opportunity to have a reconciliation process between Palestinians and Jews and Jewish Israelis. And this opportunity has been actually abused in '97 by Netanyahu and abused also by Ehud Barak in 2000. Actually, already in the stage of implementation, the first stages of implementation of the Oslo process, it had been clear for us that there is a problem in this implementation because we will be divided from the other Palestinians. And actually the Palestinians, as a result of the Oslo, became 5 kinds of Palestinians. We became, Palestinians in '48 and Palestinians in Jerusalem and Palestinians in Gaza and diaspora. We have been divided also politically later in 2005 and 2000. The fragmentation of the PLO and the creation of Hamas and all what happened created a new reality that actually whenever we went out and we said, end the occupation, immediately people started with this argument, what about the fragmentation between yourselves as Palestinians? So we are the Palestinians that have been united in 2015, actually. And we are the Palestinians that we don't demand to become ministers or prime ministers, and we don't have the illusion of running a big jail like Gaza Strip or the other big jail of the West Bank. So in this sense, we have a very unique status today, and we are somehow have internal democratic system that created also umbrella political leadership, but also a possibility to elect, whenever there is Israeli election, also to elect political leadership. So in 2015, we had 13 seats. In 2019, there was like two groups. It had been divided to two groups, and then the Palestinian public inside Israel punished the leadership, and they went down to 9 seats. And then they have been united again and with 15 seats, and they have been divided again, and today with 10 seats. So in this sense, there is the power of the community is there, and the people, our people feel very powerful. And we feel very powerful because we come to the table of the talks with the Jewish Israelis on eye-to-eye level. We have the linguistic, because we know Hebrew. We have the linguistic, physical, and mental accessibility to the Jewish population. You know, last week I got a phone call or like message from a previous police officer that she used to investigate me when I used to be a student 30 years ago. And she wrote me on the messenger, hey, you know, maybe you don't remember me, but we used to spend a lot of time together. Call me. So I sent her my mobile. And she said, I'm Shlomit from, I used to be a police officer and I used to investigate you for many years. And I follow up you. I am grandmother today and I'm 70 years old today. And you still have an impact on me. These days that I used to be investigated and used to bring me to her, you know, and she used to spend hours of taking, you know, taking notes from my investigation and etc. You know, most people think that they hold you, they control you, but it was clear, you know, years later that actually I had an impact on her, and she called after 30 years. She was following up also the police violence and my case of police violence, because I was arrested in 2018 with my son, you know, with 20 people, my nephew. My leg was broken in the police station. And during this conversation, he said, you know, like maybe they can arrest you and investigate you and started legal procedures, but I don't understand why they have to attack you physically in the police station. My leg was broken then, and we still have legal procedures with police, against the police actually, civil and criminal one. So in this sense, our struggle inside is different a little bit. Because this daily meeting as physicians, my wife work as a nurse, and especially during the corona crisis, the Arab medical teams were very powerful actually. You know, today 40% of the people that graduated from medical schools, not only in Israel but also abroad, some of them actually in the West Bank, are Palestinians. So we will have the next generation of physicians in Israel will be Palestinians that will treat Jews and Palestinians, and it's very powerful position actually. And in parallel to our struggle to protect our rights and to end the occupation, we thought that it's about time also to liberate the Jews from the occupation and isolation mentality that have been created for almost 70 years. This whole ghetto, you know, we against them, you know, making business with the regimes of the area, of the region, and forget about the Palestinians. No, we will make business with the Emirates and the Saudis and the Qataris and etc. And this will be called normalization. No, the normal situation that we think that should be promoted is to end the occupation and to meet with the Palestinians and to live with the Palestinians as equals. Usually, whenever I go to Congress and people here in the US, they have this argument, but Israel is very small and narrow and etc. No, it's not small. 60% of the land is the desert, and it's almost, if you drive from Eilat to Beersheba, you will find in the night here and there some light, okay, probably from the Jordanian side even. So it's not a question of land. You know, they keep confiscating our lands and etc. Today there is a huge struggle that is happening with the Bedouin community in the Nahal on land confiscation. Still, 70 years later, still they want to confiscate lands, the Bedouin community. But don't tell the settlers, especially, and the Israeli government, there is not enough Jews that want to go and settle everywhere, okay? So they have project to target the mixed cities, because the mixed cities is more normal cities than other cities. This whole isolation of the Jews in kibbutzim and moshavim and settlements here and there created separation. And Haifa, even if we are 11%, we are coming, our offices also is in Haifa, and I was raised in Haifa, but only 11%. But this 11% is very powerful community. We have, businesses, we have physicians. It's a community that is building itself from the Nakba to tomorrow with a vision for a better future. And this community have been targeted in May. This normality have been targeted. We are not equals in Haifa. We are discriminated against in Haifa. But still, we pay for housing more than the Jews. People run from the Arab villages and cities because the housing is in a disaster in most Arab villages and cities. So people are moving to Haifa because they want to improve their life standards, and they are forced to pay more because there are still some Jewish citizens that don't want to sell houses to Arabs. So middle-class Arabs that immigrate from a lot of localities, from Nazareth to Al-Fahim, they immigrate to Haifa. They have to pay more than what Jewish citizens should pay or pay actually in these neighborhoods, because we don't have new neighborhoods. So actually Arab citizens of Arab families are moving to Jewish neighborhoods in different places in Haifa. And they don't like, especially the settlers from the occupied territories, they don't like this kind of normality that people can live together. And last May and in this transitional period that have been between Netanyahu's government for 12 years and the new government, he tried to complicate the reality, complicate the whole Middle East with confrontations. It started with Sheikh Jarrah. And then when we went out and we said, khalas, enough, this evacuation of families from their houses in Sheikh Jarrah. So they started attacking us, and then Hamas came in, and then everybody, Hamas attacked Israel. No, it was the Israeli government and Netanyahu that did his best to complicate the whole Middle East with another war. He started from Sheikh Jarrah and these families, to evacuate these families, and then they started to target us in Haifa and in Yafa and Lud and Ramli and Akka. These are places that have been targeted, and we know that they brought buses from the occupied territories, from the West Bank to Haifa and to Akka and to Lud and to Ramli, because they hate, they don't like, they don't want to have normal life, that Jews and Arabs can live together, Palestinians and Jews can live together in the same piece of land. And 2,500 people have been arrested. 450 people still face legal procedures. My son was arrested by the Secret Service. They took him for 40 hours, ban of meeting of a lawyer. He disappeared from, they took him to Jalami jail, and then they just disappeared. They took him to another jail in Petah Tikva, and they released him Saturday at 6 o'clock in the evening. They just put him outside of the police station. In the same time, I had a meeting with Hadi Amer, the American envoy for ceasefire. And during our meeting with Hadi Amer, I raised, the fact that my son just disappeared. They took him Thursday afternoon, and Friday we had court cases where the judges approved everything that the service asked, banning meeting with lawyer and banning publishing the case, and etc. And Saturday he just disappeared, and I was in my way to meet with Hadi Amer, and my wife went to bring him some stuff in the jail, and they said, we don't know where he is. So during the meeting with Hadi Amer, I raised this issue. And, half an hour later, we got a phone call that he was released. So I told Hadi Amer, look, guys, it's the most effective American intervention that took place never, on a Palestinian case at least. But I think, I do think, and that's why we are here, and that's why we have friends of Mossawa in the US. we think that we have to build here institutional presence as progressive forces, and make the connection between us working on the ground to bring the stories of what we face on the ground. You know, if in any country, human rights activist, director of human rights organization like me will be arrested, his leg will be broken, and etc. Of course, the State Department will release public press release and talk about it and will ask the Israelis, what's going on there? But I'm Palestinian. So Mogherini, which is she used to be the previous European Minister of Foreign Affairs, she published a press release about Human Rights Watch, the director of Human Rights Watch, and about my arrest. She did that. But here, a year later, my case was mentioned in the State Department Human Rights Report. But of course, in the Land Use Committee that should actually monitor all state human rights reports, they never raised the issue of what's happening there. We give $3 billion every year to the State of Israel. And there's human rights activists that are arrested. Their legs is broken, their sons are arrested. And how we will prevent such abuse of democracy? Okay, how you Americans will make sure that these events will not take place also in the future. And that's why we are here. Because we think people in the Congress should hear our voice, should listen to our stories, and should hold State Department and hold the administration responsible for the future of Jews and Palestinians in the region. So this whole debate about two-state solution and etc., I don't know if it will take place. I'm not sure that it will take place. But in any case, we are there. If the Jewish majority is not interested in two-state solution, fine. We just had this conversation with 5,000 students from the Palestinian community inside Israel going to your village, Zababdi, and to have the opportunity to have higher education while we can't build university in Nazareth. We're citizens of the State of Israel. We are not under occupation officially, but we can't build university because the Israeli Higher Education Council will prevent us from building university. But in Zababdi village, it was possible 12 years ago or 15 years ago to start this process and to start building university. And we insist to educate our kids, daughters and sons. We insist, we know that the only tool, I know it from my personal experience, the only tool to get out from poverty and discrimination and fight for our rights is higher education. And today we have almost 20,000 Palestinian students that study abroad, and we have 60,000 students that study in Israel. And we have about 10,000 students that study in Jenin and Birzeit and Nablus and etc. So we insist on our right to educate ourselves and to have a career as human beings. And we will go on the process of building ourselves in the personal, institutional, collective. And we are coming here to look for allies and to look for people that still have hope. I have always this discussion, we gave up, we can't give up. When they arrest us and they humiliate us, we can't just say, people with privilege, they can sit, abroad or sit in Israel and say, you know what, khalas, we gave up, there is no hope for peace between Palestinians and Jews. We think that there is a hope by being active community. There is a hope by being there as active and organized society. In parallel to the work that we are doing here, we are dealing with a state budget. We have state budget that will be approved by the end of the month. So we have a team that, monitor state budget, monitor the debate. We submit papers every almost day on, housing and welfare and poverty and education and agriculture. We have a lot of analysis, a lot of information. People don't need information. There is a lot of information about Palestine and Israel. They need the stories, but they need the hope also. And I think, you proved during the last few years, at least according to what Suha keep telling me, you proved that you are active community here. We need this community to be larger and larger and more powerful. On Monday-wise, they were happy to talk about our debate with the J Street. We met in the past with Jeremy Ben Ami, and I hope that we will meet with him also next week. And, we told him in the past, and we still will tell him that we, the Palestinians from inside, from outside, the diaspora from Gaza, we will not be the ones to give the exit to any Israeli government from the two-state solution and self-determination of the Palestinians and self-determination of the Jews we will not be the ones. They have to decide, but they have to have, timeline, not forever, not 100 years, timeline to decide what the Jews want. Okay? How the self-determination of the Jews and the self-determination of the Palestinians will be implemented. We are open for two-state solution or one-state solution. Okay? But we want to be equal. We will not accept a solution that will make us second or third class citizens. And we are today second and third class citizens. The citizenship law even intervene in family unification. Even family unification. If you are Palestinian from Zababdi and Palestinian from Haifa fell in love in Zababdi University, they can't live together if they get married. They will be prevented from having citizenship. But if any Jewish American will fall in love or who would love to make Aliyah, you have the right to return. It's called right to return. But of course, the Palestinians don't have the right to return, but don't have also the family unification option. So in this sense, these are issues that we raised also with the current administration. The team that prepared the next human rights report of the State Department came to us just a few days before we came here. And we gave them a list of violations of human rights that took place in the last year. And we said, we would like you to write about them. And we would like you here to take even State Department human rights reports and ask your members of Congress to talk about these issues. And to invite the Israeli ambassador and to question him why the Arab community is systematically discriminated, why there is still land confiscation and still people that are living in unrecognized villages in the Naqab area. Why there is police violence. Okay, why that court case on my case is taking 3 years. 3 years. Why people that have been killed by police officers are not investigated, and why there is 49 Arab citizens that have been killed by police officers, and only in 2 cases police officers were convicted. So these are issues that we will talk about them here in all our meetings. We think that we are suffering from human rights violations, but in parallel, we think that we are game changers. And we would like, we don't want anybody to refer to us as masakin, poor people that are suffering. And yes, we are victims of violations of human rights. But we are the potential of normalizing the relationship between Palestinians and Jews in the next 50 years and the next generations. And as game changers, we are not fighting each other like Hamas and Fatah or like what, because usually whenever Palestinian come out, why you keep fighting the question of fighting and corruption and etc. We are not fighting each other. We don't have corruption in our community. And we are not actually government like the PA or Hamas. So all these excuses, why not to guarantee rights to the Palestinian community, the Palestinians at least inside the Green Line and the Palestinians in general is not there any more. And I think it's very important to give us the stage. So next week we will be in DC. Please take the opportunity that we are here, send your members of Congress, senators, your representatives an email tell them to meet with us. We would love to talk to them even for 30 minutes, if not for your representatives, for their staffers. And, use the article that was published on Mondowise, distribute it, send it out to people, let people see what we think about how we make, what is our analysis to the reality. And, you were great for Suha and Friends of Mossawa in the US. You supported the work that she did here. You supported our work that we did here. And I hope that you will be able to support the work and to give us the floor also in the future. I promise that next year we will come again, and we will come with diverse Palestinian and Jewish organizations. We have a project, we call it Solidarity. This is like a product of this project. It's like artwork that have been done between Russian artists and Arab artists in a village called Jisr Zarqa. And we did the artwork and the dialogue program, and we are about to launch a multilinguistic website that will enable us to communicate with the Russian community. 1 million Russians that immigrated in the 90s. And everybody related to them as extreme, even Bill Clinton as extreme, and there is no hope, and etc. We gonna outreach to every group that have been marginalized in the past. We already did that with the Ethiopian community when they suffered from police violence in the past. We are doing that today with the Russian community. We'll do that with the Mizrahi community in parallel to our cooperation with progressive Jewish voices on the ground. So we are going to a new stage of outreaching, not only protecting our rights, but also building solidarity programs with different communities. For example, last week, we came to the Knesset members and we said, why there is no multilinguistics governmental services? If there is 2 million Arabs and 1 million Russians, why the only language that they have like funding for is Yiddish and Ladino? Okay, there is center for governmental center for the preservation of Yiddish and Ladino, but there is nothing that will deal with the Amharic or will deal with the Russian language. And Israel is not only about occupation and etc. There is communities that deserve to get services, and in this nation building project that have been created for years by Mapai and the left in the past and now by the right, they want to create one nation that only speak Hebrew. Guys, we speak Arabic. It's the language of the Middle East. And if you create Jewish nation state law that will say that Arabic will downgrade it, so what? We will keep fighting to convince the majority of the Jewish Israelis. Hey guys, if you live in the Middle East or in the middle of the Middle East, it's the language of the region. It's about time for you also to study Arabic if you want to be part of the region. And you have to have TV programs and cinema in Arabic. So in this sense, part of our future vision is also to look about arrangements that actually will match the needs of the communities that live back home, and the needs of the communities is diverse. One major group is living under the occupation, and we have to finish this occupation, and we are open for multilinguistic country, we are open for multicultural country, we are open for any scenario that will end the discrimination and will end this whole, apartheid mentality that there is one white strong control and the others are, just will have different rights but not equal rights. So I will finish by saying that the meaning of Mossawa in Arabic is equality. So we took this value and we try to promote it. I would like to thank you and finish here and open for a discussion, and not only for questions. I would like to hear what you think also, that how we can improve the situation and how we can also have better impact in the near future. I always like, if you have a goal, it's not enough to put the goal, you have to put also timetable and work plan and budget and etc. So if we have a goal and the occupation and normalize this region, we have to know how to do it and who's our allies and you know, what each part of us will put on the table to be able to reach this goal. So thank you again, and let's talk.
Thank you.